Let me start with a question. What if the biggest prison in your life isn't your past, isn't your trauma, isn't your parents, your job, your failures, or society, but your need to be liked? Because whether we admit it or not, most of us live quietly negotiating our happiness. We soften our opinions. We stay silent when something hurts. We chase approval like oxygen. And deep down, we're exhausted. That's where the courage to be disliked enters the room. Written by Ichiro Kishimi, a philosopher and Adlerian psychologist, and Fumitake Koga, this book doesn't whisper comfort. It doesn't pat you on the back. It looks you in the eye and says, you are not unhappy because of what happened to you. You are unhappy because of the meaning you gave it. This book became a phenomenon in Japan, then around the world, because it does something rare. It doesn't tell you how to feel better. It tells you how to live freely. And freedom, as this book makes very clear, comes at a cost. That cost is courage. Now, this is not a typical self-help book. There are no bullet-point life hacks, no productivity systems, no 5 steps to happiness. Instead, the entire book unfolds as a philosophical dialogue between 2 characters, a young man, frustrated, anxious, angry at life, and a philosopher, calm, grounded, and quietly radical. The young man believes what most of us believe. My past defines me. My trauma controls my future. Society decides my value. The philosopher disagrees completely. Using the ideas of Alfred Adler, a contemporary of Freud and Jung, the philosopher introduces a worldview that feels almost dangerous in its simplicity. We are not driven by past causes, but by present purposes. In other words, you are not anxious because something happened to you. You are anxious because anxiety serves a function in your life right now. That idea alone shakes the ground beneath the listener. Throughout the book, the young man resists. He argues. He gets defensive. He storms out. He comes back. And through this tension, the reader is slowly guided to confront deeply uncomfortable truths. That victimhood can be a strategy. That seeking approval is a form of self-betrayal. That freedom means accepting being disliked. The book doesn't destroy your excuses gently. It dismantles them carefully, logically, and relentlessly. This is where the courage to be disliked truly earns its reputation. 1. Trauma is not destiny. One of the most controversial claims in the book is this: no experience is the cause of our success or failure. Now, let's be clear, this is not denying pain. It's not minimizing suffering. What Adlerian psychology argues is this: the past does not control us unless we allow it to. We assign meaning to events. We decide how they shape our identity. This idea is deeply unsettling because it removes a familiar comfort. If my past is not the cause, then responsibility comes back to me. And that's terrifying, but it's also empowering. Because if your life is shaped by meaning, not cause, then you can choose new meaning. 2. All problems are interpersonal problems. Another core idea of the book is radical in its clarity. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. Loneliness, inferiority, anger, fear of failure, even lack of motivation. At the root of all of them is how we see ourselves in relation to others. We compare, we rank, we compete, we seek validation. The book calls this the desire for recognition. And here's the truth it exposes. As long as your happiness depends on recognition, you are not free. 3. The courage to be disliked. This is the heart of the book. Freedom is impossible if you need everyone to approve of you. The philosopher says something profound. If you are not disliked by anyone, you are probably living according to someone else's values. Think about that. Every authentic life will create friction. Every honest boundary will disappoint someone. Every value-driven decision will be misunderstood. Being disliked is not a failure. It is evidence that you are living truthfully. But that requires courage, because rejection hurts. 4. Separation of tasks. One of the most practical ideas in the book is the separation of tasks. Ask yourself, is this my responsibility? Or is this someone else's task? You can offer kindness. You can speak honestly. You can act with integrity. But how others react, that is not your task. This single principle can dismantle people-pleasing, guilt manipulation, emotional exhaustion, and it introduces a quieter, stronger way of living. One reason this book resonates so deeply is how it's written. The dialogue format isn't just stylistic, it's strategic. The young man voices the reader's resistance. That's unrealistic. That's cruel. That doesn't work in the real world. And the philosopher never rushes him. There's patience, silence, repetition with purpose. The tone is calm but unyielding. There are no motivational speeches, only steady dismantling of false beliefs. And because it's conversational, the ideas don't feel imposed. They feel discovered. This makes the book feel less like instruction and more like an internal conversation you didn't know you needed. Here are a few ideas that linger long after the book ends. Freedom is being disliked by other people. Do not live to satisfy the expectations of others. The moment you want to change, you already have changed. These lines aren't poetic for decoration. They are confrontational. They ask the listener, who are you living for? The Courage to be Disliked was originally published in Japan, a culture deeply rooted in social harmony, conformity, and collective responsibility. That's what makes its success so remarkable. This book challenges social ranking, shame-based motivation, living for approval, and yet it became a bestseller. Why? Because the anxiety it addresses is universal. In an era of social media, constant comparison, and curated identities, the book's message feels more relevant than ever. It doesn't promise success, promises inner freedom, and for many readers, that's far more valuable. So here's the question I want to leave you with. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be liked and started trying to be honest? Not reckless, not selfish, but sincere. Because the courage to be disliked doesn't tell you to reject others. It tells you to stop rejecting yourself. Freedom is not comfort. Freedom is responsibility. And courage is the price of admission. If this message resonated with you, if it challenged you, unsettled you, or stayed uncomfortably close, then I strongly encourage you to read The Courage to be Disliked. You'll find the Amazon link in the description below. Buying the book is the best way to experience these ideas fully, at your own pace. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because someone out there might need this courage today.